Thank you guys for taking some time out of your day to join me. It's week 10. We have running back rankings. In this video, I'm going over the first 32 options to get you your running back ones, twos, and some flex considerations as well. The goal is to get you guys all the information that you need to dominate your opponents and go get another critical dub. We are running out of real estate to get into those fantasy playoffs. Every win is now more important than ever, which means every play, every decision we make has the smallest margin of error, which is why it is so important that you guys drop comments, ask questions on the video. When we talk amongst ourselves, we both get better. That is what it is all about. I want to be able to support you guys to make those good decisions. Hit the like button if you find yourself enjoying the content, and subscribe to the channel as well. That helps me out so very much. Without any further ado, let's hop into week 10's running back rankings. Also, probably should have mentioned this earlier and in other videos. Not really sure why I haven't. But on Saturdays, I am dropping updated rankings for every single position. I'm doing top 25s for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. I do top 15s for tight ends, defenses, and kickers as well. So if you get to Saturday and you have 5 minutes on your hands, you can go and look at all of my updated rankings. It takes into account all the news that we have heard from the middle of the week. And there are times when some of these players jump pretty significantly. So make sure you check those out as well. Drop a like if you wouldn't mind. And with the sell done, let's hop into it. At 1, it is Christian McCaffrey with a 1B in Saquon Barkley. This one was really hard to decide between these guys. CMC gets the 31st ranked run defense, and Barkley gets to go against the league's worst in Houston. So this is a legit, not really sure where to put who in this conversation, but I'm gonna give the nod to the guy that just ran through and caught a touchdown pass last week for the first time in 15 years. Both of these guys, though, have 30-plus point possibilities. At 3, it is Austin, pound for pound Ekeler. He continues to dominate the touches for LA in that banged up offense, but there is no tougher matchup than the one he gets this week against the 49ers. He is going to give you a solid floor with the passing game work, but I would not expect a monster game here. Travis Etienne is the highest he has been all season. I have him at 4. He now has 3 straight finishes as a top 7 back, and he gets a top 7 matchup in this one against the Chiefs. They allow nearly 20 points a game to backs. This sounds like a recipe for a monster game, and I am ranking him as such. Rounding out my top 5 is the King, Derrick Henry. He finally got some relief from his massive workload against the Chiefs. He handled just 17 touches after seeing 33 in each of the previous 2. Now, the Broncos are allowing nearly 5 yards a carry. That is 6th most in the NFL. So if the King is fresh and gets going, he is in line for a big performance. At the 6th spot is Alvin Kamara. He gets a really tough matchup against the Steelers. They are top 8 in the league in both yards per carry and rushing scores allowed. Now, he is probably in line for a ton of looks after getting just 12 opportunities against the Ravens, so I'm betting the volume is going to carry him. Nick Chubb is in at 7. All this guy does is score tutties, and Miami has given up the 8th most rushing scores on the league thus far. Chubb is going to post his 6th top 10 performance in 8 tries, which sounds crazy, but it is legitimate. In at number 8, I have Tony Pollard. Now, this is, of course, assuming that Zeke Elliott is going to be out. And if that is the case, then hashtag free Tony Pollard is about to go nuclear. He was the running back 3 overall as the lead back prior to the bye, and he's got a chance of replicating that type of production against this Packers run defense, which has left a lot to be desired all season long. Kenneth Walker is in at number 9. He drops a little bit here because of the really tough matchup, but he is still a smash play. He's got involved in the passing game as well last week, really for the first time this year. He caught 3 balls against the Cards after catching 3 in his previous 4 games combined. If he continues to add that element to his game moving forward, watch out. to 10. Rounding it out is Dameon Pierce against the Giants. He is going to be tested this week against a top 5 rushing defense in New York, but Pierce is basically looking next level right now, and he remains a must start. In a battle of 2 leagues best at their positions in Pierce and Barkley, I'm giving the edge to Barkley by a significant margin. To Dalvin Cook's number 11 spot, he's going to need a big week if the Vikings want to stick with the Bills. They have to be able to keep Josh Allen off the field. But the Packers were kind enough to provide a blueprint of what that might look like, and the Jets replicated it last week, so there is certainly hope for a solid day for Dalvin. As predicted, the Vikings have opened Cook up in the passing game out of the bye. They've given him 6 targets in the last 2 games, and his ceiling rises significantly with that type of usage. Miles Sanders is up next at 12, and it's another week, another good shot at a top 12 finish for Sanders, who's done it in 2 out of the last 3. The Commanders aren't exactly formidable against the run, and he's got a top 5 rushing workload on the season thus far, so the streak is going to continue. Jamaal Williams finds himself way up at lucky number 13. He is my new running back 1 in Detroit until I see more usage out of DeAndre Swift. Williams outtouched Swifty nearly 5-1 last week, so it's going to be interesting to see what we hear from the Lions camp throughout the week. If Williams is going to see another 20 plus carries here, because he had 24 last week, he has boom potential against the Bears. They are bottom 6 in yards per carry, points allowed to the position, and rushing scores allowed. At 14 is Cordarrelle Patterson, who stormed back from injury to punish the Chargers last week. It is going to be more of the same in this game. The Carolina Panthers give up almost 26 points a game to rushers, and they just gave up that career day to Joe Mixon. Leonard Fournette is my next dude. He is hoping that a matchup with Seattle's bottom 10 ranked run defense helps him get back on track, because he needs it in the worst way. He has not rushed for over 25 yards since back in week 6, but he's been able to remain relevant with his usage in the air. I think he actually does both against Seattle, and he posts his best outing in a month. Jonathan Taylor slides way down to 16. He should be back this week, but it is clear that that ankle issue is bothering him. If he's close to 100%, he might climb, as the Raiders surrendered 24 points a game to rushers. That is 6th most in the NFL. Josh Jacobs is my next dude up. He's at 17. He's certainly slowed down after his torrid 3-game stretch, and he could struggle here as well because the Colts are allowing just 3.3 yards per carry over their last 3 games. That happens to be the best in the NFL. Aaron Jones is at 18. He gave owners a big time scare last week when he left the game in a walking boot after the Lions loss, but the results were negative and he looks okay to play against Dallas. That's the good news. The bad news, though, is that the Cowboys surrender the 2nd fewest points per game to the position, so probably tough sledding for him. David Montgomery is down at 19 against the Lions. He continues to get the majority of the touches in Chicago's backfield. He nearly doubled up what Khalil Herbert had last week, so I'm going to stick with the volume for now. Now, I'm not going to let those greasy Green Bay Packers ruin my saying it's just a scientific fact that the Cheeseheads are playing awful, so you play your playmakers against Detroit. It is really that simple. To round out my top 20, I have D'Onta Foreman against Atlanta. First things first, he fell flat on his face against the Bengals, but so did the rest of the Carolina Panthers, so we're not going to put the fault on him. He is probably going to rebound here against the Falcons, but the floor is terribly low in this offense. Jeff Wilson finds himself at 21. He might just be the new 1A in Miami. It is impossible to tell because everyone thought that that was Raheem Mostert walking away a week ago. So we continue to wait and see. I do know this though, whoever gets the touches is going to crush in this awesome matchup, and at this ranking, Wilson is worth the gamble. Tumbling down until I see more from him, just touched on it, is DeAndre Swift. He would be a top 10 play if we knew that he was going to get volume, but that just has not been the case. Swifty has just 15 touches over his last 2 weeks, so monster ceiling, but the floor is basically nothing. Devin Singletary is my next man up at 23. He was out-carried by Josh Allen last week. We know that the Bills also just traded for Nyheim Hines, and the Vikings are a top 8 unit against the run. All of that caps his ceiling. He always has the touchdown upside in this offense, and he does have 5 targets in 2 out of his last 3. My last running back 2 in week 10 is Khalil Herbert. He lost the battle of the game script last week against the Dolphins, but if it goes in his favor here and the Bears give him touches, he is going to thrive. He's got top 15 upside, I think, but after last week's running back 44 finish, the floor is not ideal. Raheem Mostert rounds out my top 25. He could be in a timeshare right now, maybe at best, so I am ranking him with caution. Just when we thought we knew exactly what's going on in Miami's backfield, we get once again thrown into chaos. In next is Najee Harris. He has gotten inside of the top 30 just once in his last 5 tries, so even this ranking seems a little bit generous for him. The Saints rank 3rd against rushers. They allow just 16 points a game, so the light at the end of the tunnel looks extremely dim. At 27, I have Antonio Gibson. He's been able to finish inside the top 30 in 4 straight weeks, and that is mostly due to his work in the passing game. We know that his upside is not really that great, but his floor is going to be solid. Tyler Allgeier gets Carolina this week, and he is worth considering in a great matchup. He was the running back 13 overall last week. He did that on just 11 touches, and he didn't even score, so you could certainly do worse. Melvin Gordon is next. He is a touchdown-dependent guy, basically as much as it gets in that department, but he was able to break a 4-game scoreless streak against the Jags prior to the bye. Now, against a top 5 rushing defense, I do not like his chances. He's probably better off left on your bench. Brian Robinson Jr. rounds out my top 30. He has continued to lose his grip on that 1A job in Washington, and he does not contribute much in the passing game either. He's had just 4 catches for 7 yards in his last 3 games combined. A.J. Dillon is at 31. He continues to flounder, even with decent touches, but that's because Green Bay's offense is a nightmare, so you're just hoping he falls into the end zone. Unfortunately for him, he has not done that since week 1. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, talk about a tumble, all the way down to 32. He has hit rock bottom over his last 4 games. He's posted finishes of running back 53, 37, 26, and 46. So I suppose because he's in my rankings, you want a positive, so this is what I got. It is a top 10 matchup against the Jaguars. They allow nearly 22 points a game to backs. And that'll do it for the video today. Let me know what you guys thought about my rankings. I hope it had some valuable information that is going to make your decision making easier so you can dominate your opponents this week and get that dub. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button for me. I greatly appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel as well. Get me over that 500 mark. A big shout out to all of my current subscribers. Thank you guys so much for the support. Really means the world to me. Don't know what I'd do without you. Probably still would not be doing this. You guys enable me to do what I love, and that allows me to keep bringing you guys the content that hopefully, by this time, you love. This is Relentless Press. I am your host, Abraham Opatz, and I'll see you next time.